It could have happened anywhere, but it just came together here.
Decades of black and white pictures tell the story. Neighbors armed with rifles and raw emotions running high in the peak of the summertime heat.
It was election day. It was very hot that day, and we know how East Tennessee can be in August. There was no air conditioning back then.
The following 12 hours became known as the Battle of Athens. It played out in city streets, newspaper headlines, and eventually a TV movie. Fresh off the end of World War II, hundreds of McMinn County GIs entered into a new battle, this time at home. They wanted to rid their hometown of a system many considered broken from years of corruption. It was a good old boy political machine. Deputies received money for every arrest. Leaders appointed each other to new offices, and racism played out at the polls. The young men formed their own political party with candidates, and on Election Day, tides began to change.
As the election started to go against the deputies and the sheriff, there was a shooting at a polling place. A voter was shot. The sheriff decided he was losing control of the election and decided to take the ballots. The jail kind of sat back in this area here with the front porch in the area about where this truck is sitting. And then across the street is the hillside where all those GIs were, all the way up into Night Park. And as they were firing from the hillside right across our heads to take out that transformer, you can see the bullet holes right to the left and above that window.
After emotions cooled, both sides laid down their weapons. Newly elected politicians took office, and a first-of-its-kind government formed. More checks and balances, salary restrictions. Voters elected commissioners and county executives.
Over the next few decades, that grew and grew until there was a constitutional change, and that was the form of government that spread throughout the state, and is more or less the form of government that is spread throughout the South.
As an elected official serving under that system, Sheriff Guy says politicians should see that event as a reminder of the power of the people.
These are people that went to church together, that went to school together. They just differed on political views. I think it reflected well on our community's resiliency, how this community came together after that was over with.
But the history of that day remains along the city streets of Athens and in the form of government we all share.
That change was very significant. It made things much more efficient and much less likely for graft and corruption in local government, and that came directly out of the Battle of Athens.